Before diving in, don't forget to subscribe to Backyard Wisdom, where lost wartime inventions, survival hacks, and field-tested knowledge are brought back to life. Every week, we uncover forgotten methods that still outsmart modern gear. Now, let's open the crate that time tried to bury. In 2023, a sealed World War II supply crate was unearthed from beneath a collapsed Norwegian outpost once used by Allied engineers during Arctic operations. Inside lay an intact Arctic survival box, a field-issued emergency pack designed to keep soldiers alive in the coldest, most unforgiving environments on Earth. Historians had records of these boxes being distributed to isolated reconnaissance units, but few examples survived intact. What researchers found inside wasn't glamorous, it was ingenious. Every piece told a story of survival engineered through scarcity, necessity, and the relentless cold. This was not a survival kit filled with luxury. It was built to preserve life when even hope began to freeze. Studying it offers lessons that remain as valuable today for preppers, explorers, and survivalists as they were in 1943 for stranded troops. Inside the Arctic box, wartime engineers really understood what it took to survive. The box contained items that, well, modern survivalists might easily overlook. Things like compressed peat briquettes, tins of fish oil, a wax-sealed wool underlayer, a tin of lard-based heat salve, matches dipped in resin, and even a roll of treated birch bark. At first glance, it all looked pretty primitive. But you see, each piece served a vital layered function in cold endurance, preserving body heat, sustaining calories, and keeping tools functional. Peat briquettes, for instance, were these lightweight fuel blocks that could burn steadily, even in the snow. Soldiers were trained to dig a shallow trench, line it with bark, and use small shards of peat to boil snow into drinkable water. Now the fish oil served dual purposes, both as an energy supplement and as skin protection. Rubbing it on exposed areas actually formed a barrier against frostbite when gloves failed. These are techniques still valid today, you know. In remote cold expeditions, energy-dense oils and compact natural fuels often outperform most synthetic materials, which can crack or freeze. The waxed wool was another forgotten masterpiece. Unlike modern synthetics, this natural fibre held warmth even when it was soaked. Soldiers could wring it out, apply a bit of animal fat to reseal the fibres, and regain insulation. These days, modern bushcrafters have actually started replicating this method, melting beeswax into old wool layers to create reusable cold-weather garments that, well, mimic this lost technology. The Arctic box offers practical lessons for any cold-weather camper or prepper. First, redundancy in fuel and insulation. The Second World War engineers knew that every layer of defence, from waxed fabric to bark lining, had to serve multiple purposes. Even now, in survival planning, materials that overlap functions are still the smartest investment. For example, a waxed cloth can become a ground sheet, a rain barrier, and even an emergency heat reflector. And a tin of lard, well, it can double as food and a fire starter. Second, local resource adaptation. The kit didn't depend on imported items, but on natural materials soldiers could replenish anywhere north of the Arctic Circle. Peat, birch bark and animal fat were renewable. You know, modern survivalists often forget that logistics fail first. Sustainability matters more than gadgets. Practicing how to make briquettes from compressed paper or plant fibres sealing bark to waterproof containers, or extracting oil from fish scraps revives the same mindset those soldiers had: self-reliance through chemistry and craft. A practical experiment for modern enthusiasts is to reconstruct one piece of the kit at home. For example, you can create a mini heat salve by mixing equal parts animal fat and beeswax, heating them until smooth and letting the mixture harden in a tin. It can protect skin from windburn, polish metal tools, or coat matches to waterproof them. Small projects like this keep traditional fieldcraft alive. The most remarkable thing about the Arctic Survival Box isn't just what it contained, it's what it symbolized. These items weren't mass-produced luxuries, they were born from desperation and discipline. Every object carried psychological weight. A soldier stranded in a whiteout could look at that crate and know that somewhere engineers had thought about his survival. That sense of preparation kept morale from collapsing, and morale was the invisible fuel of endurance. This principle still holds true today. In modern expeditions or backyard tests of endurance, the confidence of preparedness is what prevents panic. The soldiers who used these kits were trained to see every small success: melting snow, starting a fire, sealing a tear, as a tactical victory. That mental framing is a skill still relevant for survivalists. Victory in increments. Restoring or recreating the World War II Arctic Survival Box isn't about nostalgia. It's about practicality. Materials like waxed wool, birch bark and animal oils may seem outdated, but they operate on principles modern technology still struggles to replicate. Adaptability, repairability and efficiency under stress. A single layer of waxed wool will insulate even when soaked, a property still unmatched by most synthetic fibres. Peat fuel burns longer per ounce than many modern fire-starting gels. Resin-sealed matches remain waterproof for years without plastics. These are results achieved through chemistry, not convenience. For today's backyard survivalist or cold-weather explorer, integrating these materials can, drastically improve resilience. Recoating gloves with wax, learning to extract natural oil-based fire accelerants, or layering bark for insulation, well, all of that mimics the same sustainable design thinking that really defined wartime engineering. The soldiers who survived in -40 conditions weren't relying on luck. They were applying methods that, as it turns out, science has since validated. What the rediscovered Arctic Survival Box teaches is, simply timeless. Survival, you see, is not about hoarding equipment. It's about understanding the logic behind every item. The men who carried these crates across those frozen fjords didn't have modern synthetics or endless supplies. They survived through knowledge, adaptability and discipline. Values that still matter whether you're camping, prepping, or, just studying history. If this kind of rediscovery fascinates you, do subscribe to Backyard Wisdom, and perhaps share this story with fellow enthusiasts. Each episode digs deeper into the forgotten crafts, materials, and field-tested tricks that modern life left behind, but which, honestly, might just save it someday.